you do not have to study 12 hours a day to be cracked or anything. I think the reason I wanted to do it was to prove to myself that I could do it. And because I could, I guess I wanted to.
Hey, what's up, KoreKara Squad? Welcome back to the podcast.
Before we get started, make sure to disintegrate the like button. Make sure nothing is left. Absolutely nothing. Smash it, destroy it, pummel it.
Yes, so in this episode, we talked to James Scholz, who you might have seen before. He does 12-hour live streams where he studies almost every day. And in this episode, we talk about his passion for studying Japanese, including his entire trip to Japan and his introduction to AJATT, as well as how he was able to keep up his 12-hour-a-day study streams.
As always, if you want to support the podcast, we have bonus clips on Patreon. So we hope you guys enjoy the conversation.
So, all right, James, so can you give us a quick background of who you are and where you're at today?
Yeah, so I'm mainly known for doing Study With Me live streams here on YouTube. I've been studying a lot for the past year or so. And I've mainly just worked to help other students feel less lonely and stay motivated during the pandemic on my YouTube channel. And I just have a small community where we just kind of hang out and study and take breaks and do other stuff. So I'm just kind of interested in studying and self-productivity. I'm really interested in Japanese. It was my first love in academia, stuff like that. So yeah.
Japanese was like one of the first things you dedicated to studying?
Yeah, it was definitely the first thing I studied first. Like in high school, I wasn't that interested in computer science. I'm a computer engineering student. And yeah, I wasn't that interested in CS or like math. The only thing I really liked was Chinese and Japanese. So
what were your inspirations like to the language?
Well, of course, like I grew up pretty socially awkward. Not too many like friends and not too much family, so I spent a lot of time watching anime with my cousins as a kid. So that's definitely what introduced me to Japanese culture. Since then, I've really grown to love Japanese. It's just like a really pretty language, and I find it really fascinating, like how beautiful it can be sometimes, even though it's not very efficient. Yeah, and I just really, it's just really beautiful to me.
So you've been studying Japanese since high school, or was there a point where you decided to study?
Yeah, so I like played with it in high school. I was in Chinese at the time, so it's kind of weird to be studying both languages. But independently, yeah, I was studying Japanese. I learned hiragana maybe like in 2017, so a little bit ago. I didn't take it very seriously for like maybe a year and a half before I would study like an hour to an hour and a half after school every day. And I would do Japanese from zero with George Trombley. And yeah, I did that for about a year and finished like the first 4 textbooks. I think they're on like 5 or 6 now. And then I did some Genki and Mina no Nihongo, and then yeah, after that I started doing more AJATT stuff.
So when did you discover AJATT? Was it around the time that you just started?
Let's see. Yeah, I was trying to remember the timeline of this. I'm pretty sure, well, I found out about Matt versus Japan because I'd been watching George Trombley's videos, and he actually made like a bunch of videos bashing Matt and like the entire immersion method in general. And
I think that both of them had videos like bashing each other.
Yeah, they both had beef. Yeah, and I kind of wanted the whole picture, so I like looked into Matt more, and he's kind of like less, professional looking than George Trombley's whole like series and books and stuff. So it was kind of like interesting to see the dichotomy of like just this dude in his bedroom versus like this whole production studio. I think he's in Vegas and like all that. And yeah, I just kind of like believe in the immersion method blindly, and it's kind of just now I just switched to AJATT after I found out about Matt.
I see. Was it kind of instant, or did it take some videos to kind of join immersion?
Was there a specific video?
Yeah, I was at the time I was working at a call center and we had a lot of downtime, but we couldn't like watch YouTube videos or anything. They're all blocked. All we could do was like Google stuff and read the Google results. I was like hella bored, so I was looking how to improve my Japanese method, and then it was like, oh, this Matt versus Japan guy keeps on coming up on like these language forms, and yeah, that's when I kind of learned more about it. I will say, I think Matt needs to organize the information a little bit better because it's definitely hard to get into, at least AJATTing as a beginner. There's like a lot of terminology and stuff that you need to learn, and it can kind of be overwhelming. But yeah, I have a lot of respect for Matt and everything, for sure.
I guess Matt's content as of late has been going a lot more towards having organization, but yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. Back then, it was very difficult to get into, but I guess given that, right, how are you able to kind of organize that information and kind of develop something for yourself?
Yeah, I like what he's doing with Refold. Not that it's very developed yet, but I can see that he's definitely giving it an effort to make it more mainstream. And I also like Migaku as well. I guess like how I started learning about information was just through like subreddit information, like r/AJATT, r/Learn Japanese. Were both really useful, and they have like actual wikis and stuff. There's also like a few other language learning forums, and like I've read a lot of stuff bashing things like Duolingo and like traditional college learning styles, Genki, Mina no Nihongo, you know, like typical Japanese school stuff. Yeah, it's like I think back then it's kind of like finding little nuggets in a forest, because a lot of information, I guess it's not like it's not like a really developed field, immersion learning. So a lot of the science is kind of conflicting at times, and yeah, you just kind of have to figure out what works for you, I'd say.
Right. Yeah, Eric actually started with Genki back in the beginning of his Japanese journey.
Yeah, my friend started with Genki. You know, I think it's still like, there's definitely immersion learning versus traditional learning. I can definitely see why you would do both. I mean, yeah, definitely. Genki's also great too.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the beginning, you definitely have to study from like a textbook, like the basic grammar and words, and then after that, transition to immersion learning is a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because if you just go right into immersion learning, you have nothing to grasp onto. It's like way too confusing.
Yeah, definitely, I could see that. I did French in middle school, like as required for 1 year, and we just like skipped straight to the immersion learning, bro, and it's like, what is happening?
Oh, yeah. You did immersion learning in your middle school class?
For French, yeah. So like on the first day, you played that one thing with the bread. The kid steals the bread at the start. Like at the start of the movie, some kid steals like a big ass loaf of bread, and then at the end of the movie, like some guy gets imprisoned wrongly or something. I don't know. That was in middle school.
We'll see if we can find that. But I guess like earlier you were saying how like the Japanese language and media inspired you. Was there one piece of content, like maybe when you started doing immersion learning, was there one piece of content that you really felt like, damn, I really want to understand this in Japanese?
Shit. I was like, at the time, like in high school, my friend group, we were kind of like isolated from the rest of our cohort. So my cohort, like the advanced kids, I guess, we were doing this program called IB. And yeah, it's just like, it's kind of like pretentious AP, where it's like all the kids like become their own little group and they all take classes together. And my friend group was already pretty isolated from the rest of those kids, because like I grew up in a really, really white neighborhood full of Mormons, Salt Lake City, Utah, and it's a lot more like conservative and stuff. And I feel like nowadays like anime is a lot more accepted, but even just like 5 years ago, you know, like I think there's a lot more stigma to it, and my friends and I were pretty proud about liking anime. So I kind of wanted to like, I guess, cover up the social rejection with that, and I really wanted to just learn more about it, because I just wanted to immerse myself into something that wasn't school, and it made me. I felt like I really wanted an identity in high school, because like I didn't want to conform to all these super, I guess, normies, like. And yeah, I just kind of took pride in learning Japanese. Like I would visibly study it during other classes.
I see. Did you ever come through with the classic one earphone in listening to Japanese in a class?
Yeah. Let's see. I would just like grab a big ass book full of Japanese only and just read it in class and not understand anything.
Like a novel?
Yeah.
That would look pretty cool though. I'm sure people would notice.
Yeah, that's probably, I don't do that. That was dumb and a waste of time. But yeah, there's definitely that social thing. As far as like a single piece of Japanese media, I don't think so, man. I just really loved Japanese culture in general. You know, ever since I was a kid, I was really excited by their work ethic. They work a lot, sometimes way too much, but I kind of like a lot of aspects about their society. Not all of it, but a lot of the aspects kind of drew me into Japanese culture. I really like mindfulness and things like that, which is part of Japanese life. I like order and structure, which is also very part of their life. And yeah, I guess I just valued a lot of the same things that they had valued. And you know, I wanted to someday maybe raise my kids there because like I think the way of life there is better for raising kids. Like here, I feel like all kids do is just sit on TikTok all day and don't really do too much else. And I kind of like how they're so mindful about their existences there. And you know, I wasn't like consciously thinking that in high school, but I think it was unconsciously like very drawn to it then.
I see. And those values have kind of come up with you till now as well.
Yeah, for sure. I went to Japan in 2017, I think 2018. I got a video about it on my channel called Japan Movie.
I remember seeing that.
Oh, did you see that?
Yeah.
That's embarrassing. It's a little bit embarrassing. Yeah. But it was like, when I went there, I was like, I'm in love.
How much Japanese did you know when you were over there?
I probably finished the first two Japan from Zero, Japanese from Zero books. And that was hot shit. When I got there, bro, I was like,
oh yeah,
could read the signs.
Ask for directions and stuff, right?
Yeah, I could order food. I could count to probably 40. Could read some hiragana. I knew some Chinese kanji, and it kind of looked similar to Japanese. Yeah, I was a senior. It was like my junior summer coming into a senior, so I was doing a high school program, so it's kind of like, yeah, Japan, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You finished that second Japanese from Zero, and you're like, it's time. I'm on my way. I guess you talked a lot about getting values from Japanese culture. Would you say that time you went to Japan, you experienced maybe a culture shock though?
I'm half Vietnamese, and I had been to Vietnam a few times, and I had been to Hong Kong and stuff like that, so I'm like pretty well versed in Asian culture, even before going to Japan. So it wasn't that big of a culture shock to me as it was for like the other kids in my program that I was doing. It was still kind of interesting. It was really fun to see a lot of like the different ways they do things. Like the showers are all different. I was living in like a nice neighborhood. Like my host family is pretty well off, and it was still cool to see all these like businessmen walking around and stuff. Like here, I live in like Salt Lake City, which is mostly just like a big old suburb. So it's like nice seeing public transit. and like so many restaurants. And maybe it's just me just being in Tokyo for the first time, but just like everyone there is so stylish and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In every district in Tokyo, they have their own unique style. There's like if you Google it, there's like, this is the Roppongi style, the Shibuya style.
Yeah, I definitely went to Harajuku and it was like, whoa, what is that? Word. That was pretty cool.
You trying to deck out any of these outfits, James?
Let's see. I did go to a lot. I lived in Setagaya, and they're known for like their thrift stores and stuff. So I definitely hit up the thrift shops a lot. And yeah, it was kind of interesting also being like a foreigner in Japan and like having people. I'm pretty tall. I'm 6'1", so I was like looking over the whole vast field of this like shorter Japanese people.
Especially like on the subway, right?
Yeah, on the subway. It's like, and I could pick all my friends easy in like the crowds too. I know where all my friends are.
I'm sure they knew where you were too.
Yeah.
I see. I mean, you also mentioned having a host family there. What was that entire experience like?
Yeah, my host family is fantastic, man. I couldn't have asked for a better one. The Hangai family, they are super cool. It is a husband and wife and 2 kids, and like they still send me Christmas cards and gifts and stuff. Like I just barely got a bunch of I asked her for some Akino Nakamori cassettes and VHSs, and yeah, she sent it to me for Christmas, and we still talk online and stuff, and she'll send me photos. But yeah, they're like super hardworking and stuff, and they're really nice to me, and very grateful for sure that I got matched with them, because how it works is the program, like they send the pictures of the students to the host families, all right, and then the host family picks which student they want. And man, my picture that I sent was it was pretty yikes. So I'm surprised they picked me, but they did. Like it was my passport photo, and it was like I don't know how else to describe it. It was like head to one side, like chest out, you know. It was like passport, baby.
It was just like screaming, "Don't pick me!"
Yes, yeah. I can't believe that was like a photo of me. It was like that bad. Yeah.
I mean, maybe it was the best photo among the bunch.
But yeah, they were super cool. One of the kids really loves soccer. He wants to be a professional soccer player. So they'll like the mom, like the whole family would get up at like 5 a.m. and go running first thing in the morning.
Oh wow.
Yeah, seriously. And it was like this little ass kid and like the housewife and then the other kid, you know. And it was just super cool seeing him like doing stuff. Like they were in school when I was there, so it was like really interesting to see all that. And then in their little school uniforms. And yeah. And the mom, she made some really banger food too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you miss that food now. I mean, I sure do.
Did you have a host family?
Yeah, both Eric and I had the opportunity to have one as well.
Oh, awesome.
I mean, my experience wasn't that as cool. I mean, I had a decent experience, but yeah, I didn't stay in contact with my host family.
What did she cook for you guys usually? Or what did you guys usually eat?
A lot of like traditional Japanese food, like curry,
Yeah.
There would always be like these sides, and I would never know what they are. I learned the words for some of them. Like, I mean, I can't remember right now, but there were all these like weird vegetables all the time.
You know, one thing I always found funny. So one time they gave me this one side. It's like the pickled plum. You know what I'm talking about? The umebozu.
Oh yeah.
And they gave it to me as kind of like a test. They were like, oh, I wonder if he's gonna like this. Oh no, he's not from Japan. There's no way he'll like it. And then I have it, and I'm like, oh, it's pretty good. They're like, what? They're like going crazy, like a hype video. Like they're having a like real life montage. Like I was like, oh my god, like it's just a pickled plum, like chill. But
Right.
I mean the entire food lineup they had with, I guess, the traditional with Japanese food, it was good. Too hard to pass, especially now during the pandemic when you can't really go to Japan or have access to such like authentic, right from the source kind of food, you know. But it's you
Yeah, how was your experience with natto?
Oh, I actually didn't have that bad of an experience with it. I guess the texture is really weird, but I don't dislike it overall.
I didn't really like it the first time I tried it, but I think after like a week, I got like challenged to do it for a week. And I got like pretty used to it, and I actually kind of like it.
Yeah.
You know how like in Japanese they always ask like tabereru, so it's like, are you able to eat it? It's like almost like a challenge. It's not like, oh, do you like it? It's like, can you physically eat this?
Like, don't disrespect me like that.
Yeah, we did that in our program with natto, with all the other kids. And I was like, okay, so there wasn't like that many Asian people, and I was kind of proud that I could like eat anything. So it was my turn to eat the natto. I was like, took it like a big old mouthful, and like I was like, I was trying to act like I loved it. And
wait, you just ate the whole thing without? Did you mix it up?
It was a natto roll, so this is rice, natto, and seaweed. Actually, yeah. By the time I left though, it was like, you know what, this is actually pretty good.
Have you ever like had it ever since?
No, I don't think you can buy it here. I get like Japanese markets and stuff, but like ain't no Americans buying natto. Yeah, can you get it in California?
Yeah, you can.
Really?
It's like in the frozen section that they ship it from Japan.
Okay. You have to send me some.
Give you a little care package. Yeah, for real. Oh man.
Wait, so did you like talk to your host family all in Japanese during that time?
It was like mostly English, unfortunately. It was because they wanted to learn English, and they're like these little kids. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna teach these kids English instead of I'm gonna learn Japanese, you know.
Right.
But yeah, it was.
Yeah, they wanted me to do that, like my host family, but I was already like into that AJATT philosophy. I'm like, I'm not gonna teach you guys.
How many siblings did you have?
I just have one.
One sibling.
Yeah. Eric's experiences is so funny in terms of what they tried making him do and the rules they put down on it. We had this one episode called Japanese Host Family from Hell, where we pretty much document Eric's like kind of troll experience that he had to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, mine was just like a troll experience. It wasn't actually like a hellish experience, because I knew some people who actually had like miserable experiences.
Yeah. I think, did Matt have like, what he classify as hellish? I know he didn't like his first time in Japan or something, right?
I remember, I think he said like his host's mom would just give him konbini pan, just like bread from the really cheap, so that they wouldn't have to spend money on him.
Yeah, hit or miss, I guess. Hit or miss.
Yeah. Out in the countryside, they really played Matt. There's so much more that could have happened, but yeah, you hate to see it. But I guess during that trip, would you say you maybe improved in any way in terms of, were you actively trying to learn any language? Right? I guess at the time you're speaking a lot of English, right? So it was just more of the Japan experience. Yeah,
it's like, let's see. I would just hang out with when I wasn't with the host family or in like the Japanese school during the day, I'd always hang out with my boy Lambert. And we'd always just kind of mess around. Like we would, we'd go to like headphone shops and test out like fancy headphones and stuff and be like, sheesh, these like sound really good. We'd go like a big camera, and then we go to like another like more specific headphone shops, like headphones only, and then we do stuff like that. We'd like test electronic keyboards, mechanical keyboards. We would get some really good food, and then so mostly English and just kind of like vibing with Japan. We went to Kyoto in a later trip actually together. Kim and I went together after it, so that was really cool. I've been twice, so it's my second time. yeah, I was like, man, I really miss Japan. And then I just kind of messaged him and I was like, you want to go to Kyoto? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah. The boy Lambert, man.
Yeah, Lambert. Hey, shout out to Lambert if you're watching. I don't know.
Oh, shout out Lambert. I guess one thing you mentioned just now too was that you're at a Japanese school, so you get to kind of experience like the Japanese school life.
It was like we were in a high-rise in Shinjuku in the back room of an office, and then we'd go in and like, I don't know, probably, I don't remember most of like the actual work, but it would be like, here's a worksheet, and then you do the work, and then you recite it in front of the class and stuff. So it was like pretty, I would say, like, I haven't taken like an actual Japanese course, like at a actual like university, but I would imagine it'd be fairly typical, like that experience just from Chinese and like French classes, you know.
Right, so it was just mainly like general classes, a quick in and out that you can go experience the hustle and bustle of Tokyo.
Actually, they're like 6-hour classes. So
oh man,
we're in there for a while.
Oh, that's rough. How could they keep you hostage in there like that?
I was fine with it. I really love Japanese, so I was like, all right, 6 hours, let's go. But some of my classmates, man, they're like, get me out of here, bro. I want to go see Japan. Yeah.
They're like fading away in the class.
Yeah,
those noise canceling headphones.
Yeah, it was actually just like 12 people, so there's no sitting at your desk with your head down, you know.
Oh, dang.
Oh, so it was like a pretty small group then.
Yeah, it was like, there was a beginner class and an advanced class. So like, yeah, most of the kids were in the beginner class, and our class was like pretty small, you know.
I see.
Wow. Yeah. Really, the difference though between the two classes was like whether or not you knew hiragana. It's like,
hiragana class and then katakana class.
Yeah, that was basically it. So it's like not advanced, you know. It's like, oh, you can actually read. All right, you're in this class.
I'm sure a lot of people listening to the podcast got up. Were like, I'm advanced now. That's right.
Let's go, baby. Advanced Japanese learner. Nah, you don't know nothing.
Like day one, learn the hiragana. There we go. I peaked.
Showed up to Japan. I was like, all right, advanced class, baby. I'm gonna ace this. I was like, what is this?
Oh, that's the 2 textbooks right there.
Yeah, that's the 2 textbooks. I also did a third hiragana one. It's like a hiragana for beginners. That was like, that's a good textbook. Yeah.
Is it hiragana for like advanced? Like,
no, it was like a 50-page book with like a can two with like a goo with the mouth and like draw the goo. And it's like, all right, yeah, baby, can of goo, you know, that's what that is. And now you know, coup, baby, yeah. So actually, 3 textbooks, but the third one's like 50 pages, so.
I see. Yeah, the advanced hiragana guy. That's what it is.
Yeah. And it's actually a really good textbook, though. If anyone wants to know, if you still need to learn hiragana, yeah, use a textbook. When my friend took Japanese classes, I was like, because I know in Japanese classes, like the first 2 days is just them learning hiragana, and it's like hellish. So I was like, man, take this. And he's like, thank you. And I was like, yeah, he's actually said it. Yeah, he said it's useful. So.
You give it to her like, thank me later. Walk into the distance. Maybe you should have had that in your Japan movie. It would have been a really cinematic scene.
Yeah, maybe it's like from master to pupil, I guess. I ain't no master, bro. I could barely talk to like a 5th grade level then. Maybe not in 5th, probably like 2nd grade. I was an advanced kindergartner. That was my Japanese skills.
Hey, advanced kindergartner, you're better than the beginner kindergartner. That's all that matters. So yeah, I guess then from this Japan trip, you, after coming back, you decided to keep on going with the language by yourself.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's when I started doing like looking more into like AJATT and stuff, because I was like, man, this ain't gonna get me anywhere. It's like, get back from Japan, it's in a call center, bro. I got better things to do with my life. So I was like, I really want to learn Japanese. So I was kind of like, usually there's like better things, like better ways to learn stuff than like the conventional method, I would say. And yeah, it's kind of like, hey, Jay, let's go.
So do you just switch your computers and phones to the Japanese?
Let's see, what did I do at the start? I knew I couldn't do it fully because I was in my program is really intense. Like I was spending most of my time on schoolwork, and I just can't focus with like stuff in my ear all day, like voices in my ear all day. So have you guys interviewed Brit or like other Matt, English Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I read his long ass guide about learning kanji. That was like my main entrance to like actually doing AJATT like that. He's got like an hour and a half read about Anki, RTK and stuff. Remembering the kanji. Yeah. And he was like, all right, this will take 3 months, and then afterwards you gotta grind sentences and then do like mostly immersion learning or like immersion. So basically my thought was, all right, at the time I was in Australia for an internship. So basically it was over the summer, and I would just get out of work and then go to like the university nearby in the city and then do RTK stuff just on Anki for like an hour and a half or 2 hours. Yeah, and that was like end of freshman year, I think, coming into sophomore year. I did I knew that I didn't have like any time at all to actually like immerse in like actual like direct immersion content. So I started like doing Core 10K, which I know is kind of taboo. But yeah, I was like, all right, here's the best I can do for now, and just do as much Core 10K as I can in a day for like until I graduate. And then when I graduate, that's when the AJATT really begins.
Wait, so you finished RTK in 3 months?
Yeah, so yeah, well, I think it was more like 4 to 5 actually, because I was in like Australia and I wanted to like explore and stuff. So it was, I would do 66 or 33 cards a day, which is like the 3 month period, but I wasn't that great about sticking onto it. So yeah.
That's pretty intense, because a lot of people, they definitely like drop out before even finishing, and some people even quit Japanese just because that initial hurdle seems really difficult.
Yeah, it used to be like kanji was like this like crazy thing, you know. It's like, wow, 3,000 things that I can't recognize. But it was like at least to me, like I'm an engineer, engineering student. So it's like it's really interesting to see how people are approaching these problems, and it was like really cool to me to see like how they're breaking down all these little characters into like little stories, and that was like, whoa. This is black art, because I'm learning way too much. So I was like really excited to be, because like I had tried to learn kanji, right, like through like this big ass books of just like there'll be like a kanji on a page and like 10 squares and you write it 10 times. And I was like, man, this ain't working. But it was like Anki plus RTK, bro. It was like, oh. Like I still really love Japanese, and it was like supercharging the learning, and it was like I just had never been so excited to learn Japanese, to be honest with you. So yeah, and when I got back, I was like, man, I can read so many kanji now. Well, I can't read them, but I can understand them at least, you know.
Who would have thought it would have been the trip to Australia that would have gotten you further in Japanese?
Yeah, it was like that was the first time I had really been on my own, like my own without my mom and my cat. That was just me in Australia. So I was like, I'm gonna take this. I kind of went to survival mode. I was like, all right, bro, let's go. And it was like, yeah. Sorry, that's my grandma. She's on the phone. I live with my grandma now. Just moved in like 3 weeks ago.
No worries. No worries.
Yeah, she did not understand. Yeah, she did not understand what I just said. Yeah, shout out grandma one time.
Yeah.
Oh, what she's doing. All right, sorry about that, guys.
No worries. No worries. You gotta have the cameos out here. You gotta have the cameos. Have your grandma part of the next Japan movie.
Yeah, hey, that might be pretty cool.
Teaching my grandma Japanese.
That sounds like a good video idea.
Yeah, she doesn't even speak English. I don't even know if I could. I don't even know how to say Japan in Vietnamese. Hold up. Yeah, I do want to say that, but that's about it, man.
Yes, that's where you start, though. That's where you start, right?
Yeah, I guess.
The 12-hour streams are gonna be a lot more different soon.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I guess with you were talking about using the Core 10K, which is like a pre-made deck. What was your experience using that? Like, how far did you get with using that?
Let's see. So, I did. I recently, man, this is depressing. I lost my 611-day Anki streak because I slept through my alarm. Shit. That was like, oh man. But yeah, 611 days for 16 cards a day. I think I'm like 80% of the way through the deck, 10k sentences, like 8k sentences, approximately. I haven't really checked actually. I don't really like looking at my stats until I'm done because it's like, whoosh, it's cool seeing it when you're all done, you know. So I never pressed
that's
T
like
on
still
Anki.
the main deck that you're repping.
Yeah. So I'll do like speed run some of my like RTK stuff. It's like, and then it's like the Core 10K stuff is like, all right, what's this say? What does the sentence mean? Next, and then. Man, I used to write down every sentence on a piece of paper. So I also got this like big ass stack of paper, like this big, full of this Japanese sentences. But that was a waste of time. Don't do that. But yeah, I was like, I'm gonna really like look at these sentences and like when I'm writing and like look at all the characters and stuff and like really dissect it in my head. But yeah, so I do like Core 10K for 1 or 2 sessions, so like 1 or 2 hours a day. Probably for like since sophomore year, since spring of sophomore year till now, I'm gonna be a senior in the fall, so a while. 10K. It's 10K.
Wow.
Have you had experiences with sentence mining?
Yeah, I am. So I actually haven't done any sentence mining myself. Mainly because like that was just my plan at the start. I should probably revise this, but yeah, I just like definitely knew I didn't have enough time to like. Well, okay, this is like pretty. I guess it's like this was my naive approach to AJATTing. I just didn't have enough time to do any direct immersion learning. Like I knew I had the schoolwork and I had to be on stream, and it's like I'm not gonna watch anime on a study with me stream. And call it direct immersion, you know.
12 hours of study.
that's how you get clown all day. Yeah. So you know, this has gotta look like I'm studying something, but I don't got time to like. I gotta like study for 12 hours and then go work out and sleep. You know, I don't gotta like.
Right.
I can't like be watching 2 hours of anime after the stream. So yeah, it was like, all right, I need something that it's like pre-done for me, and it's like. Mm-hmm. I can fit in with my coursework, and it can look like it's studying because that's like something that's important to me now. It's got like I like don't watch videos on to learn anymore basically because it's got to look like I'm studying, you know. Unless I have to.
Yeah, it'd be hilarious. You like set up a phone and in the camera angle you can't pick it up, and you're just watching this entire time. You're like moving your mouse around.
Have you ever seen Death Note?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about too.
That potato chips, and he has like the TV inside the potato chips. He's like watching TV.
Nah, people are too smart, man. They sniff it out instantly, bro. If I had like a screen right here behind my CRT, nah, people would know. But yeah, it's like I ain't bullshitting this. I'm just gonna do what I can, and it's gonna. I can call it Japanese, like it's still Japanese, and it's still somewhat AJATT. It's definitely not AJATT. But yeah, I'll fully transition to AJATT once I graduate. Like I have no idea how English Matt did it while studying CS, bro. Because it's like I can't focus at all, and you need that like whoosh, super focus for at least I do to solve like these problems, you know.
That's pretty crazy though that you're able to like go through RTK and pretty much like Core 10K? Because a lot of people, like Razo talks about his experience using pre-made decks, and I mean, pretty soon he dropped it, right?
Yeah.
It's not as engaging.
Yeah, because for me, sentence mining was a lot more engaging, and that really kept me in it. When I started going and grinding the pre-made decks, it like really took me out of it. Yeah. And I guess I probably did a little bit too many cards per day, which definitely didn't help.
Really? How much were you studying?
It got to the point where I added a little too many decks. I was going like 100, 200 cards per day, and I was like, oh, I feel so efficient, until like I was like a month into that, and I'm like, oh my god, I hate everything.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like in the summer sometimes, like it's like I need something to do, so I'm gonna study Japanese, but then it's like gets out of hand pretty easy.
I think like right before I went to Japan, I decided to go like turn up the dial, and I went like 100 cards a day of like a pre-made deck.
Really?
And it would be like 2 hours of like Anki per day, and because I was like going to Japan, and I was like still really motivated.
Yeah. That's crazy. It's like this is my first time speaking with other AJATTers, or like Japanese learners in general, besides like my one friend who took like one college course. So, this is like really cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Finally time to just let it all out.
Yeah, I haven't talked to anyone about this like ever, so this is cool.
So I guess like in this time that you've been studying Japanese, was it? It's just mostly contained in Anki. Have you watched any series?
Yeah, I'm ashamed to say this. Most of my studying is in Anki, when it should be mostly like Immersion, but yeah, I've watched Alice in Borderland all in Japanese with like Japanese subs, and I understood like most of it. Well, maybe like not most, maybe like 65%, which is like I would say it was like pretty amazing to me, because that was the first time I'd watched something in Japanese like that, and I think that's it, man. I would read like some manga, but like yeah, not that many. It was only like 20 chapters of some random manga. I forgot what.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like when you transition to immersion learning, I feel like it would be really easy almost, just because you already have all those words in your subconscious, like 8,000 words and stuff.
Yeah, the Core 10K is, I would say it's definitely good at building vocabulary and stuff. For sure, and like you can like understand variations of like two different words. Like you'll see like the first part of one word and like the second part of another, and it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So,
but I think that deck is built from like a newspaper frequency list. Have you ever tried reading the newspaper?
No.
That might be like the easiest, like the most directly connected thing.
I heard reading the newspaper is hard as hell. I haven't even tried.
But you've been like basically grinding the newspaper for like 2 years.
I love some weird ass words. they're not in frequency. I think it's like some random words. Like it'd be like,
oh,
shunka shuto. That's like the 4 seasons. It's like, all right, now I'm gonna say the 4 seasons, I guess, all in one word. But it's like, when am I gonna use that?
I feel like you have to try it. Maybe one time on stream, just pull out the Japanese newspaper. You're going to be a lot more cracked at it than you think.
You just have like the actual like physical Japanese newspaper.
I don't think so, man.
That's the retro vibes right there, though. Just the physical newspaper. Oh man.
Yeah, and I don't like talking about how I learned Japanese on stream, because people will be like, oh yeah, say something. I'm like, I don't know what to say. I don't even practice studying at all. My pronunciation is like garbage, I only basically I'll be like, I only study vocab, and that's it.
I mean, technically you're just reading, right?
Technically I'm reading, so I don't have like any conversational skills like at all.
Right.
Basically, like I was like in New York recently, and like there's like some Japanese dude that need help. But like, yeah, I haven't talked to like any Japanese people in Japanese for like a hot minute since like way before the pandemic,
Oh, so you saved this Japanese person in need then?
Yeah, I think he just needed directions, and I was like, I don't know, man. I'm not from here.
I don't know.
Shinka Shuta,
yeah. With the 4 seasons. Oh
Yeah. So yeah, no, basically conversationally like non-existent. You know, I can read stuff like signs and stuff, so that's cool. And like, I went to what is it, Kuni ni Kuniya, the Japanese book store. Yeah, and it was like cool seeing all the Japanese books, and it was like, hey, friend, did you know what this means? It's like.
You walk in there, how did you feel? Was it like the first time? And it's just like, oh, there's so many Japanese books. Why is this guy looking at me like that? Stop looking at me like that.
It was like, yeah, it was like cool. It was like, oh, that's Goku Shufuda. It's like the way of the household husband, you know, Goku Shu, like way, and it's like, oh yeah, Goku Shufuda. That's, and then like you understand it, and then you like actually memorize it. It's like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I really can't wait until you actually get on the AJATT train. I feel like you're going to be really cracked.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
man.
I think the approach you have, like nobody else has that so far.
Yeah. When I tell people on the stream, they'd be like, "How are you studying Japanese?" I'd be like, "It's experimental, man. I don't want to say it." That's what I was.
Experimental practices, potential danger.
Yeah, it sounds like I'll be like,
do not try at home.
Yeah. I'd be like, don't do what I'm doing. That's what I'd always say. But maybe it'll work. Experimental.
It's definitely something unique. We've never really heard anything like that on the podcast before. But I definitely think that once you start going and sentence mining, it'll be so much easier for you in like gathering the input. I actually can't wait for it to happen. You got to start bringing out I think if you like read some Japanese novels while you're just like on your computer for like reading practice, I feel like you might just like, you're just gonna instantly go all the way up, like 0 to 100, the comprehension 100.
Nah, I don't think so, man. Yeah, because like my grammar, man, it is like. yeah, pretty yikes.
Have you tried doing any conversation practice?
No, no. And you know, I used to talk to a guy in high school on a pre-ply. It's like a online tutoring, and I'd pay him $2 an hour. Those were his rates. I'd pay him $2 an hour, and we would talk for like 30 minutes. But that was like a long time ago, you know. Like, I don't remember anything, and I haven't talked to him like since entering university. So we only talked for like a month or two. But it was kind of like, I think I'm more learning Japanese because I want to understand like haikus and like read books and stuff. And yeah, so I wasn't as focused on the conversational stuff then as I am now. Like that's my last thing to hit.
I see. And I guess going towards goals then, would you say those were your goals then? For initially it was more so reading, whereas now you're kind of going towards conversation?
Yeah, I haven't taken any of the JLPT exams, which is, I guess, surprising, but I think you don't have to, it's not as focused on conversational, and I want to pass on one, so yeah, I'm kind of focusing towards that. Afterwards, conversational for sure, yeah.
I guess, like, how do you think your channel or live streams would transition? Because eventually, if you did AJATT, then it would make sense to do these study live streams, right?
I don't know. I don't feel like a YouTuber or like a influencer. I don't like calling myself influencer. Yeah, like my friends will make fun of me. It's like, oh, influencer. No, I guess it's just kind of like this whole YouTube thing has really been more of like a hobby for me during the pandemic and stuff. So, you know, I'm not taking it too seriously. And my priorities in life, probably not number one. YouTube is probably not number one. I'm all about learning. So if I can learn Japanese and use that experience to help other people learn Japanese, that'd be awesome, you know. Yeah, so I'm sure I can fit it in somehow. But I wouldn't say that like I'm not a slave to anything. You know, I don't like being a slave to my phone, to social media, to my work. I like being free and doing what I want. So yeah.
Have you ever felt sort of felt like you had to do these 12-hour streams?
No.
Always.
No. Yeah. Though I think like I don't think I ever explained this well enough in my videos, but man, you do not have to study 12 hours a day to be cracked or anything. Like cracked at school, cracked at anything you want to learn. I think the reason I wanted to do it was to prove to myself that I could do it. And it was like a challenge, right? Like sometimes it'd be like, all right, what do I even study now? Because like I'd finished Japanese and schoolwork and like other crap, like my lab research work, my computer science work, you know. So the live streams, I never want to feel like I'm a slave to that too, right? So like I'm willing to like follow what I love, and if I really love Japanese, you know, I'd totally move to Japan if the opportunity ever came up. So yeah, I'd be willing to leave a lot just to learn what I love, you know, Japanese.
Would you say that is more than like your passion for, say, like computer science?
Japanese was my first love, like I said at the start. That was like what really got me into studying. Yeah, so like for me it was kind of like I was gonna become either an engineer or a mechanic, or that's it. I just wanted to be one of those two things and study Japanese. Yeah. So like I wouldn't say like, sometimes like a lot of people it's like, okay, I'm learning math now, so I'm just happy that I'm doing math in any sort of math related field. But for me it's just more like I really love computers, so like I want to like know how they work and stuff, and I really love Japanese and I really want to understand it and comprehend it. And it's not like, oh, this is mathy, so I like math and I'll do this, you know. It's kind of more like more specific love, I guess.
So do you think your like 12-hour streams helped you like dramatically in like the like productivity and output on your school side?
How my streams helped me was they gave me a new level of self-confidence. You know, like at the start of it, I was kind of like, no one's ever done this before. You know, like the whole study with me genre at the start of the pandemic was a lot different. Like it took me like 6 months, bro, to hit like 1,000 subs, you know, studying 12 hours a day. It's kind of like you gotta have a certain level of discipline to see this like garbage results for that long, even though you're putting in so much work. And yeah, that was like a learning experience, learning about myself. And definitely like the times you learn most in life is when it's the hardest, you know, when you're not comfortable. So putting myself in that situation, you know, I was like studying for a long time, and then afterwards I was like training for a marathon, which I recently ran, by the way. So that was cool. But yeah, it helped my productivity, I guess, but it also mainly helped like my other like more internal characteristics, you know, stuff like drive and like understanding what really pushes you forward, stuff like that, which normally like I guess study YouTubers don't really talk about. Yeah, it was like a different level for me, like opening a new gate, not just like about studying, but like about life in general, you know. It's like just being so focused on very few things, yeah, I've learned now that I really love like a simple life, um, where it's just like doing simple things that you enjoy, and I find a lot of meaning out of that, you know. So yeah, you don't have to study for 12 hours a day to be good at school, but you can. And because I could, I guess I wanted to.
I see. And I would say habit building plays a big part in being able to do this for so long, right? After 6 months, you said was kind of how you started before reaching 1,000 subscribers, and then you kept on going. So how would you say that played a part in not only your growth, but kind of your personal development?
Well, I mean, we were in the midst of a global pandemic, and we were stuck at home all day. And I guess it's all about how you react, right? Yeah, like I was thinking about I guess it was like I was kind of in a challenge with myself. Like at the start of the stream, I would start at like 8 a.m. but like I'd move up. Like I wanted to push myself more, so I'd be like, all right, we start at 7 a.m. now. It's gonna go longer too. 5 a.m. 4 a.m. That's when that's what I did for a long time. Was I would wake up at 3:30, you know, and I guess there's like a lot of sacrifices. Also, like I go to bed at 7:30 p.m., which is kind of sad for like a 21-year-old. I was 20 actually. Yeah, 20 and 21. But you know, it was a pandemic, and there was very few structure in our lives except for staying at home all day. And as far as habits are concerned, I was pretty. I really indulged in a lot of my desires, you know, not to do stuff at the start, like not to do like productive stuff, you know, like at the start of the pandemic, man, it was like not uber depression, but it's like, what am I gonna do for who knows how long, you know? And the habits really showed me like a new way of life. Is like, yeah, before it all was just given to my impulses, and you know, like open up my email and open up YouTube and see, oh hey, new video, let's watch it real quick, stuff like that. So yeah, habits.
How were you able to like fit in your, because you said you ran a marathon, so did you do training?
Yeah, so basically, let's see, my day-to-day was I would wake up 3:30 and then get ready, start streaming right at 4. Well, I'd like to say right at 4, but it's like 4:05, 4:06, you know. And like not actually 3:30, be more like 3. I set my alarm for 3:33 a.m. because this is my favorite number, but I wake up at like 3:45, you know, and start streaming. 12 hours later, finish streaming, and then, you know, online school, do all my schoolwork then, and get all my courses, homework, Japanese, lab research. I was a researcher at the time. And then, let's see, I would, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I would drive up to my mom's house. Shout out to mom, she would cook me some dinner, and I just like heat it up in the fridge, or in the microwave, and then digest for like 30 minutes, and then I would run around that area for about 6 or 7 miles. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Yeah, Tuesday, Thursday was like kind of chill. I would just like hang out with my friends after the stream and kind of read books and just kind of vibe, you know.
Yeah, that's super inspiring. I mean, I guess also you mentioned before as well that you didn't let anything really influence you or become a slave to anything, including social media. And you kind of talked about how you weren't on social media for the past 2 months to us earlier as well. How has that maybe helped you in terms of your time and developing habits as well?
Well, I guess like to give context, let's see. I had never experienced such massive channel growth at the end of the school semester. So like late April, it was like the 22nd, and I was at 80K subs. And I was like, all right, man, here's my goal. I'm gonna hit 100K subs by my birthday, April 27th. So I'm gonna do as much as I can to hit that goal before my birthday. And so I released that one video that really made my channel get a lot of exposure, the how I study video. And yeah, that like skyrocketed me to like, you can look at the views. It's like 80K, 80K, 70K, 60K, 50K, 80K video, 300K, 400K, 500K, 600K, 800K, you know, it's like, it was pretty crazy. And like, I'm not used to being popular. Like, I've never had so many eyes on me before, like at anything, even in school and stuff like that. So I'm not used to like so many people talking to me. I was like, before the stream, I was like really introverted, right? And I would like only talk to like 5 people, like including my family and my friends, you know, or, like maybe 5 or 6. And yeah, so like it was just kind of like, whoa, there's like 9,000 people watching me right now. And it was like, that's pretty crazy. I can't even imagine that many people. It's like 3 of my high schools, you know? And like, I think I was happy at the start of doing that, but there's always this like really high pressure for me to be entertaining and be happy and stuff like that, which you know what, I'm not always like super happy and outgoing and stuff. Like sometimes I'm just in my head, like in the zone, and I really want to focus on my work. And yeah, I don't want to be a slave to my stream. So it's like, all right, and you know, this is like the end of the school semester. I already wanted to take a break because I'd just been going for so long. And my channel, I hit 100K subs. I hit my goal. And I also, you know, went on to my channel, like it grew up more than that. I hit 400K like 2 weeks ago or something, and without uploading like anything, you know. And I just wasn't like, it was the end of the school semester. I hit my goal. I hit 1 year, the sub goal, and like I was like, all right, I'm gonna leave. You know, this pandemic feels like it's over to me because like the states are like, they were opening up. I'm vaccinated. I want to understand I want to see the world again. So yeah, I just kind of left YouTube and Instagram. Yeah, it's kind of dipped without saying anything.
Peace out, guys. Sorry.
Kind of like my dad.
Yeah. Oh man.
I've been enjoying, you know, like I hang out with my friends and stuff, and I read books and I sleep, and I got an internship. I'm working as a software engineering internship. So yeah, I'm just kind of hanging out, and like I spend most of my time just sitting on the floor in my room, like with a bunch of books and just like a little lamp, my cat, and we just kind of chill out. And yeah, I'd say like I spent half of my 20s on camera, bro. How crazy is that? I started streaming when I was 19, finished when I was 21. So I spent, you know, however long in a year, half of that on camera studying. So I kind of, I wouldn't say I was, like, I think I could still do it. And you know what, if like this Delta thing gets out of hand, I might have to again. But like, I wanted to understand other passions in life. Like I started Kung Fu, and I've been really enjoying it. And I've started doing a lot more body stuff. Like I'm lifting weights with my friends instead of running. And I also want to start running again because I had like finished the marathon, and I was like, I'm gonna take a small break from running. And yeah, I'm gonna start streaming again, by the way, but it's not nearly as long because I got classes on campus now. But my school semester starts next week, so yeah, we're on the comeback pretty soon, actually. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's gonna be really different for you, isn't it? After having everything at home for the entire day.
Yeah, this is gonna be pretty crazy because like. Now I got like people who know who I am, you know, like I'll be like at the gym and like some dude like, oh, you're James, right? And I'm like, well, yeah.
Yes. That's me.
He's like, oh, you went to XX high school? I was like, yeah. How did you know that? I'd be like, oh. And I'll be like in an online, like I'll be like in an online class, and I'll be like, I'll get private DMs. It's like, oh, you're James. And I was like, well, yeah. I don't know what to say.
Wow. How have you like dealt with that? Because I guess this is something very right out of the pandemic, right? Because in a way, like people just know who you are now.
Yeah, it was like I was wearing my face mask, and I like usually like whenever I go outside, I always wear a hoodie. Telling that I was being introverted. I always wear a hoodie with a face mask. So I was like. No one ever knew who I was, but it was like, man, it's too hot for a hoodie, and like I got vaccinated. I'm wearing a face mask, you know.
Right.
So I was like eating fried chicken with my friends. I was like, oh, you're James. I was like, yeah. So we'll see how in person goes for sure. I'm not used to all of this. I'm not used to being like having people say hi to me. You know, it's weird, just in general. So yeah.
Would you say you're gonna go back to the hoodie, face mask, sunglasses?
I like staying pretty low key and just kind of like getting my own stuff done and like, you know, routine stuff. So maybe, but like it's you know, it's kind of like I also want to embrace this opportunity. It's some like an area to grow, right? How often does that happen to someone? And yeah, you know, I might have like a real, like I actually might be able to help someone if they knew who I am. So
right. So would you say that might be a small goal you have now, kind of a side quest per se, helping someone on the side who just comes up to you, asks for advice?
Yeah, it's like yeah, that'd be pretty cool. You know, I don't want it to get out of hand where it's like you walk into a class and everyone knows who you are and stuff. It's gonna be like, oh, hey, you're so and so. Yeah, what's up, bro? You know.
Right. Don't want to get to the level where you're just handing out autographs everywhere you go.
I don't know if I have it in me to like do that. Yeah, I don't want to get like full of myself. That's something that's important. I'm already pretty like arrogant and stuff, like as I am, and then this whole like YouTuber thing, it's like a massive like boost your ego, you know. You hear about how cocky and stuff all these YouTubers are, but no, I want to stay like chill, you know, and like, grounded. So
I guess kind of closing now, what is maybe some advice you can impart on someone maybe trying to go and start studying, maybe just beginning, not like you mentioned, not a 12-hour grind, but just kind of developing the study habit instead for someone listening to the podcast right now?
Yeah, I would say like in today's world, man, it's way too easy to be on a screen doing pointless things all day. You know, like it's to the point where basically you could just like wake up and like scroll with your thumb all day and then go to sleep, and that would be like your whole existence. Like I don't know, with this whole like TikTok thing and you know, just social media algorithms feeding you brainless content all day, I ask that you just like step back and really look at how you're spending your time, because man, like I get kind of sad sometimes. Like I was telling you about how I was in New York recently. It was like there are people who are getting there and then like crossing the Brooklyn Bridge looking at Manhattan who were like on their phone the whole time. It's like, aren't you in New York to see the city and like live here? And breathe New York air and stuff, you know. I wish we had more mindfulness. So yeah, you don't have to drop it all completely, but do you really love sitting on your phone like that all day, you know? It just doesn't bring value to my life personally, and I don't think it brings value to a lot of people's lives who use those things all day, you know. So you gotta recognize what you're doing, like what you're spending your time on, because I'm sure you could trim it down. You know, it's really easy to get overconsumed, and it's easy to become a slave to your phone, and you can still use your phone, just be mindful with it, you know. So yeah, that was something you had to I at least had to recognize early on, was, you know, I still do struggle with like super hard YouTube addiction. Like sometimes, like before streaming and stuff, I would like sit on YouTube for like 8 hours, you know, just like, what am I even watching? So yeah. And then also, I would say you'd have to really understand why you're why you're pushing yourself, whether that's studying, whether that's, you know, running, whether that's, you know, trying to get into a school or something. It's, why are you doing this? Is it because you want to make your parents happy? Is it because you want to be rich? You know, is it because you want to become a better person, the best person of yourself? So those two things, I would say were really important for me. Like figuring out why I really want to push myself was like really important, or else I don't think I would have been able to like make it through some of the tough parts. You know, you have to have something to cling on to, like hope, while you're like going through the trenches. For sure. Yeah.
All right, guys, thanks for making it to the end of the podcast.
So make sure to subscribe to catch our next week's episode.
So I want to quickly thank our patrons: Faraz, Brit, British Japan, Quaid, Alan Card, K90, Drew, Jack, Yui, and Sad Boy.
All right, thanks for watching our podcast.